cheat clients. Now, most of it isn't actually as bad as you think. Throw away the bot plugins, the tick timers on every NPC, Guitar Hero 6 JUDs, you'll be left with a client pretty similar to RuneLite, just with a few gamer features if you will. Some of these thoughts build off of Tasty's video, link in the description, but for people that have never seen these plugins before, this video will give you a visual understanding of how they work and why we want them on RuneLite. So I give to you why you should learn to love cheat clients. Now I can already hear you mashing your keyboards, but don't crucify me yet. With Raids 3 right around the corner, a conversation needs to be had about these plugins that are and aren't allowed. I'm going to show to you why some of these cheat plugins deserve a place in RuneLite. Starting with an essential group PVM plugin, Socket allows users to send and receive information to other players that have joined their Socket party. So here on my client, I can see he hits a 69, and then when I spec, it'll show for him that I have hit a 74. Lots of things can be shared through Socket, like special attacks, damage dealt, players' HP and Venge status, soda segmays, grubs thieved, the list goes on. Starting with the Socket special attack counter, we want this information to know when an NPC is at 0 defense. For example, 2 Warhammers and 100 BGS damage puts Maiden at 0 defense, which is huge for Scythe DPS, and since we can see we only need to use one special attack, we can use our second spec on claws to stack crabs or skip crabs entirely. Similar spec combos can also be used to get other NPCs to 0 defense. With the defense reduction meta playing a huge part within both pre-existing raids, I can see Socket again being useful for players within Tombs of a Massacre. For people that don't play 12 hours a day, remembering every spec combination for different NPCs can be difficult. Luckily we have Socket Defense, which is able to show the current defense level of certain NPCs. So if you're a bit short on BGS damage, it'll show the current defense level of the boss, and you can decide if throwing another BGS is worth it or not. Now, does casual Andy really need to know the spec damage of his team? Probably not, but as Andy progresses through the tiers of PVM, gets more raids under his belt, maybe even pokes his nose into combat achievements, this plugin would be huge for him. Is giving lower skilled players plugins that are aimed at higher skilled players a bad thing? No, if anything, it helps to speed up their progression and understanding of the game through the help of these plugins. I would love to see the Socket plugin, even just the spec counter, be added to base RuneLite, as even on its own it's a huge quality of life update for group PVM. Anyone that's done Gauntlet will tell you how they dislike trying to pick up the demi-boss loot when it does its dramatic death animation and lingers after for 5 seconds. No one wants to interact with dead NPCs, and this plugin allows that, with either removing the menu option on death or just completely removing the NPC when it starts its death animation. This plugin doesn't really give you any significant time save advantages. Like, I could just right click all my loot while it's dying, and Entity Harder wouldn't give me any real benefit. The plugin is mainly a quality of life change and makes certain things easier. For example, like picking up the loot in the Gauntlet, barraging or chinning piles of NPCs, or attacking nibblers eating at your pillar. By now everyone's aware of the magic disappearing Inferno NPCs or the top runs with sus Nilos. The ability to just remove the menu option on dead NPCs should be added to the standard version of RuneLite's Entity Harder, or even better, Jagex should implement no menu options on NPCs that are currently in the death animation, as a fix for all players. For now though, using this plugin is our band-aid fix. This plugin is probably the most controversial, as it doesn't just have uses in PVM, but extends into skilling, clue hunting, and basically every part of the game. And if you use RuneLite, you've probably already used the stripped down version of it. Custom menu entry swapper, like the name suggests, allows you to set up menu swaps for whatever item you'd like. Whether it's in your bank, inventory, or worn slot, there's an option for it. We even have the ability to remove menu options on items, like removing the option to dismantle an Averting Defender. For an example, I'm going to bank these anglerfish. In the swap section, I have set up empty, open fish barrel, and deposit all raw anglerfish, which lets me left click empty my fish barrel, and then when I click an angler it deposits all my anglerfish, even though it's set to only deposit one on the deposit box. This might save a ticket to a deposit maybe. I probably spent more time setting this up than I would by doing it normally, but the left click simplicity is too good to pass up. When doing God Wars, the attack option of the boss sometimes gets lost underneath the minions, and you accidentally waste a hit on the minion. Add one line to the menu entry swapper and never have that problem again. Really, all this plugin is saving is one right click on some tedious tasks, but its functionality doesn't stop there. Construction is usually a high APM skill to train due to its poor menu design. With custom menu entry swapper, you lose the need to right click and move your mouse to build and remove things, as build or remove can be set as the left click option, resulting in 33% less APM. EHP nerds are frothing over this revelation. It sounds unethical in theory, and I kind of agree, but if you step back and have a think about it, why wasn't the default left click option in building mode of your player owned house build or remove in the first place? If it wasn't so clunky to begin with, we wouldn't need this plugin at all. I would honestly love to see this type of functionality come to RuneLite. If players want to spend time setting up swaps for their gameplay and being rewarded with saving a singular right click, that is 100% fine with me. Majority of options that people want to swap are things that are an inconvenience to them, and since everyone's meaning of inconvenient is different, I believe that people should be able to make use of this plugin to set up the game how they like it. Quest Helper is already a plugin on RuneLite. It's definitely not cheat client exclusive, but I want to make a comparison between this and a banned PVM helper plugin. Quest Helper helps with quests, and the Fight Cave Spawn Helper shows a marked tile with the name of the NPC that's spawning their next wave. Now, both draw overlays on your screen. However, one of these tells you where to stand to set up safe spots for the NPC you're fighting. One of these tells you what protection prayer to use. One of these even tells you gear and inventory setup. Finally, one of these is widely accepted because quests are bad, and the other gets people molding because it devalues their fire cape. The double standards is insane. Like, just give the PVM as a bone here. None of the things we really want are going to break the game like you think. I just quickly wanted to touch on this as while I was making this video. This post was made on Reddit and people were crying that it wasn't a legit run because he had used a cheat client. Object Hider was used to hide the eyesore of a flaw in the desire area. Using developer tools, you find the ID of what you want to hide, type it into the plugin, and it's gone. This is literally low detail with extra steps. In fact, I'm sure if someone did what I just did, packed it into their own plugin called Tazar Low Detail, and uploaded it to the plugin hub, you'd probably download it too. I strongly believe that it's time to give the players more control in setting up the game to the way they want to play it. Players need to stop being afraid of these cheat clients.
You think he's gonna come through the closet and scare you? Oh boy, how do I explain this? It's empty. See?
And instead, start looking at the good things that we can adopt from them. I hope that watching this video has swayed your opinion on these clients and plugins even just a little bit. As it stands, Jagex has been completely silent on the topic, so I would like to have our community's voice heard. Do you want to see some of these features added to RuneLite? Is admitting that cheat clients are good scarier than the boogeyman? Or do you never want to hear chat about cheat client dribble again? Please drop a like, maybe even subscribe if you like the content. I might do another video depending if anything changes regarding clients and plugins being used in old school. But until then, happy scaping on whatever client you use.